Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's grab a beverage of your choice, because today I am going to be talking about a story that I read in the omnibus of Road to No Man's Land. In particularly an issue in Shadow of the Bat number 75. Alright. So I've been trying to work my way through Road to No Man's Land. I hadn't read it before, and so I'm working my way through it. And I am just really impressed and in awe with how well written this story is. Now, I have read No Man's Land in trade. I don't know if I had, if it was trade paperbacks, and I think some of the stories were, there might be some extra stories in there in the trade, because there was 4 or 5 of them together for it. But Road to No Man's Land, this has a lot of stuff that takes place, like I said, beforehand. It starts out with an earthquake, but there's a lot of different things going on. And some of these stories I'm about halfway through. I've already seen in the trade. And I don't know, how the omnibuy are going to be right back there when I get to them. But this one wasn't. This story is in, like I said, Shadow of the Bat, number 75. It is called A Long, Slow Death. It is just this gut-wrenching story. And the interesting thing is, it's one of, I think it's 2 or 3 stories that are in this book. It's an anniversary issue, number 75, so there's going to be a little bit more to it. But it's a story that starts out with a guy by the name of William Smith. You see his son, like, swinging on a swing, and he says, "Catch me, Daddy, catch me." And the guy says, "Go ahead, you jump, I'll catch you." Well, sadly, the guy didn't. Something happened. He doesn't catch the kid. This is about this is before the earthquake. And the kid lands, breaks his back, and you find out that he's not going to be able to move, he's not going to be able to speak. He's going to be this way for the rest of his life. He's just horribly, he's crippled and won't be able to, And so the next few pages, you see how this is, affecting him and his family. Not the kid, because the kid is, messed up, but he's seeing how it's affecting his family. He blames himself for this because he didn't catch the kid, and that's a natural reaction. You're gonna think of something like that. You've got his parent. I think it's his parents, William's parents, trying to convince, trying to be strong and convince him it's not your fault. You need to deal with this. You got the relationship with him and his wife, trying to suffer. You can see her trying to be strong and talk to him, but you also see the point where she kind of, he offers to take the daughter with him, and it's just like, no. And you understand that she doesn't want him to take the daughter, because you think that she's afraid that he might let her get injured as well. And so you see all this great weight being put on this guy, and then, later, you have some mobsters coming into his business for the first time, demanding protection for his business, and you can feel this unrelenting weight coming down on this guy of just how how much more can this guy take? And you know what's coming. I mean, really, you know what's coming because this is a story of no man's land. You know the earthquake's going to happen in a second, and the story is called A Long, Slow Death. So I guess you can sort of see what's coming, and then you're at a point where he's just like, he's like, oh, his daughter, they're all over dinner. He's like, he's talking about, oh, we're gonna try and get through this together. We're gonna get stuff, and we're gonna beat this. Honey, I love you. Yeah. The daughter comes out and says, hey, look, come outside. Look at the lights. Look at the lights. I'm like, what lights? Come on. And she comes out, and there's these like spectacular lights coming out from underneath the ground. And it's just beautiful. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then it's 7:03 p.m. If you read it, you know that's when the earthquake hits. And they're up on whatever floor of their building when it hits. And at this point, the kid had already said, oh, it's beautiful, so he started to talk. The kid actually talks for the first time in months. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden, earthquake hits. And the last thing he says to his dad is, catch me, daddy, which is what he said to him right before he got injured. And then you see the wheelchair falling and the guy desperately trying to reach his kid. I was like, holy shit. This is a story. How come you don't see stuff like this done anymore? I mean, this came out in what? Late 90s? And this No Man's Land is considered one of the greatest arcs of Batman there is. I mean, hell, they've incorporated some of it into the latest the last of the Nolan trilogy. And it's just this, the writing on this, just that story alone was incredible. Not to mention the overall arc, but that's not what the overall, No Man's Land thing. But stories like this, you're just like, wow, this is incredible. And this is what people are clamoring for now. It's just great stories like this. I mean, this didn't even have anything to do with Batman. Didn't have anything to do with any of the superheroes. They weren't in this story. This is, this is a story that takes place during the overall, No Man's Land, the earthquake. People trying to how it deals with the citizens and how the superheroes are dealing. The Bat family is dealing with this. And then it just shows you how regular families deal with it. And there's no, agenda in it. There's no, whatever. It's just they're telling a story, and it shows you how, life can be, and what, it's nature, baby. It's horrible. It can be bad sometimes. And the writing on this was just so good. The art was good. I don't see why we can't have runs like No Man's Land like this, or even, and even more importantly, just little side stories like this in there. This is what people are looking for. This is what kind of multi-length storytelling can do. You don't have to have every issue in there with a super spectacular event going on. You can have just little 4 or 5, 6 page stories like this that see the side effects of this. You don't have to have, you know, alien invaders and all this stuff. Just events. Like an earthquake. Then show what little things. And if we could just continue to have stories like this and not have, people sitting there saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about. We need to have, show that people who think this are right and people who think this are wrong. That's why comics are going to hell. And no one's buying anymore, because we need more stories like No Man's Land and a long, slow death. So if we could just go back to stuff like this and show these incredible stories, I think people might come back, and I know I would, because that was a story. I was like, oh wow, that was kind of rough, but it was still a great story, and that's why I had to come out and make a video about it. But anyway, let me know if you've read that one. It's like I said, it's in Shadow of the Bat number 75, and it's in the Road to Nowhere, No Man's Land omnibus. But anyway, like, subscribe, and let me know what you thought of it. Have a good night.